You look beautiful. So, hi everyone. My name is Anastasia Patse. I'm tuning in from St. Petersburg, where I run the St. Petersburg Art Residency. And for over 18 months, we've been running a virtual residency program as well as a response to a pandemic. It is called #VirtualSpar. This program is based on a season structure. Now we're in season 5, which is a Russian-Swiss season, and we're creating it in collaboration and with the support of Pro Helvetia Moscow. In this season, we have 6 artists. 3 of them come from Russia and 3 of them come from Switzerland. And we have a focus on a particular theme, which is distance. The title of the season is Beyond Distance. What we're trying to develop and think about together is a creative vision of distance, what it can give us, whether it is something that needs to be excluded, that needs to be overcome by all means, or is it something that can introduce us to new perspectives, give us a new angle to look at things around us and inside of us, and generally how this concept is present and worked with in arts. And one of our participants is Maria Guta, who is tuning in from a beach in Switzerland. We see a very typical landscape.
Well, right now I'm at the famous beach of Neuchâtel, where it's actually,
I had a concern. I had a feeling that it was not a typical Swiss seascape.
yeah, no, it's actually it's a very typical Neuchâteloise beach. I go here every day to reconnect with myself and kind of breathe in and breathe out. But yeah, at a little bit of a deeper investigation, you would actually see that I am in my living room, and it's the first rainy day after a while, and it's really cloudy and gray and ugly.
Just like in St. Petersburg.
Oh, okay.
So we were connected at least by the weather conditions today. So when we started developing the season and we had some preliminary talks about the theme and the concept, I felt that the concept of distance and this idea that we're distancing ourselves from what? That's the question. I felt that it was present in your practice. So could you maybe talk a little bit about how the idea of distance is present in your work, maybe in your life?
Yeah, I think also to relate it a bit with my general practice, where I do play or question a lot this concept of digital identity and construction of identity in the digital environment, with all of this pressure that came since the beginning of the internet, but even more so from the beginning of social media, this pressure of staging ourselves and basically working on our public identity that we put out there for our virtual public followers and so on. And so within this, I think what I found interesting to approach during this residency was the question of distancing ourselves from ourselves, which is also something that you formulated really nice at the very beginning in one of the first meetings we had together here. And I think that's probably the most relevant formulation of the distance within my work. And probably in terms of we are investing so much time, energy, resources into building these online personas that I wondered to which extent we get away from our true self.
It has been always a concern with the rise of social media that those two realities, what we see online and what's happening in real life, they are very often very far from each other. So basically, some people are living a double life and creating, as you as you described so well, this very well constructed, curated content flow to create a particular image that they want to. The last 18 months, where we've been present online almost all the time, felt like everyone obtained a lot of new skills. How have you experienced the last 1.5 years since the beginning of a pandemic in terms of moving and acting in the digital field? Did you see that there were any changes in maybe your relationship with followers, or maybe have some observations on that?
Yeah, I'm just going slightly back to what we were previously discussing, but it's also connected to that. This kind of double life of the real self versus the digital self, I find it quite interesting because yes, on one hand, we could very easily say that sometimes there are two very different persons, personas, identities, but at the same time, I think that internet also enables us to maybe put out there parts of our personality that maybe we wouldn't feel comfortable with doing in the real life, and that maybe these alter egos that we are projecting, maybe they definitely also come from us. So I think yes, it could be a sort of a split personality, but they're still part of the same whole. So I find it interesting also what we can read about someone in the way that they are curating their online presence and identity, because I do think it's very much connected in the end to their actual self. Like something that I also wrote in the very first post, I was talking about how at the very beginning of the pandemics, I felt this pressure of just keep going in a sort of normal way with our professional and social activities, as if everything has to go on like nothing happened. I mean, of course, we knew something was happening, but at the very beginning, I felt this pressure. And it was actually a source of anxiety. Also, on one hand, everyone was talking about, oh, yes, this is such a great opportunity to reconnect with our true selves, to take some time to be on our own, to stop all the, I don't know, superficial, useless extra activities and so on, where in fact everything just massively moved online. Every kind of, I don't know, reunion, there were, I mean, Zoom bloomed and exploded, and all the other online meeting platforms, online meditation apps, workout, online
So
workout,
basically, everything to keep you in front of a screen.
everything to keep you in front of the screen. So I almost felt like instead of doing this work with ourselves that was so much, we actually maybe got even further away from that physical state where you really are alone with yourself.
For many people, even this could have been uncomfortable, because if we look at how our most of our lives look like today, they're very fast. We're always on the move, always on the go. There are a lot of things happening, especially, I don't know if you're active professional, if you live in a big city, you're kind of in a permanent flow of events, informations, inputs, and it might be a very challenging experience when all of a sudden everything is on hold and you're just in your apartment with yourself.
People experience it in a different way also, yeah, according to how they went through, with whom. And I'm also sure that having access to social media and to all of these platforms was also, I don't want to say life-saving, but a very important thing for some of the people who were really experiencing solitude at a very deep, yeah, on a very deep level. And I think it was super harsh for some of them. I think, yeah, I think it was definitely a way of escaping what was happening.
Escaping even further that we're used to on a daily
Exactly,
basis.
exactly. Because it was the only way of escaping for some at that moment. So yeah.
Now to social media, if we open the account of Lola Lane on Instagram, we see here a lot of different images. So we see someone who looks like a Barbie doll. We see someone who looks like a housewife. We see someone who has a very extravagant appearance. What are all those images, all those personalities? And could you tell us more about that and about this ritual of transforming yourself? I would even say the power of transforming yourself.
I mean, I don't know about the power, because I think in a way it's something. I mean, that's also the point of it. It's somehow a tool that, or several tools, or a toolkit that we all can access. I mean, it's also about that, about the fact that we do have this capacity and everything it's needed for, in order to switch identity. It's maybe a few years ago I was going through depression. I mean, I came up with this account also as a way of escaping my current reality back then. And I like to say also that it's a way of living different lives. You know, like, for example, every second we could make a different choice, which will lead us to a very different thing than if we would have take right instead of left. So
Like alternative timelines.
yeah, I like this idea too, but of course it's also a way of investigating all of these questions regarding the self-promotion, the self-production. I also played a lot with all of the mechanisms of building visible, successful profile on Instagram with this account, where I also went and I bought followers in the beginning. I bought likes. I wanted to see how all of this works. It's really like a sort of a compulsive collection of self-portraits, physical transformation, but there's also always digital transformation involved. And I'm making use of all of the available tools out there. And I don't know whether they're all parts of my personality or related to my true self in any way, but for sure there is an infinite palette of possibilities of transforming ourselves.
So you now mentioned physical transformations, digital transformations. Does this creative process also include some kind of emotional, mental, or personality transformation? So what happens with you as a person when you become someone else in the framework of this art practice? And also, does it go further than Instagram? Do you actually go into real life with these personalities? Are they allowed to exit the room?
Yeah, actually they do. Like, in the beginning when I created this account, like I said, I wasn't feeling very well, so I would just put on a face, a look, a wig, some clothes, and then I would go out. And then at a certain point where I would, I don't know, I would get to a certain spot or in a certain context, I would take a picture that I found relevant to that character or to that situation. And it's very interesting because as superficial as physical transformation could be from one point of view, it actually does change the way you act, the way you react to some situation, but also the way that people react to you. So yeah, it was interesting to see, according to how I looked, how people were looking or speaking to me. And then that, of course, would also influence the way I would get back at them. So it does have an impact also on the psychic. At the beginning, I was imagining that I could actually, I don't know, maybe stick to 5 to 10 well-defined alter egos, and then really build a life for each of them. Like, subscribe them to each to different platforms. Like maybe one of them was more of a, I don't know, successful businesswoman, and so then she would get her LinkedIn account and she would organize these online conferences. Like I really wanted to build the whole universe around each character. Then I also realized that it takes really a huge amount of time to do that for, I mean, already for one.
This is what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Actually, when you do it for yourself, this online presence that we are producing, it takes a lot of time. So if you want to do it in a way that you describe for several people, I think you need several hands, like you need a whole team to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you how, for someone who is spending very much time online, also while creating, and it's an essential part of your practice, did your relation to virtual space somehow change during the past year? I can say for me that I found out that this need and this expectation of a massive online presence and online involvement can be sometimes very pressuring. And also, when we used to be able to choose from some activities to be engaged in, because it's physically impossible to get from point A to point B so fast, or to be in two places at the same time. But now with so much taking place online, we're sometimes expected to be in two or more places at the same time, and to be much more engaged, which is sometimes very challenging. So I wanted to ask you about how you experienced that, and whether your relation to online presence changed in any way.
I totally share your feelings on this. I mean, I also feel that, I think I also mentioned it earlier, I really feel a great pressure in constantly, permanently being now present online. Yeah, it's more soliciting than before, since online you can literally be anywhere and with anyone. Then you're,
So physical restrictions are not a good excuse anymore.
they're not at all a good, yeah, they're not an excuse at all anymore. And I do feel a bit exasperated sometimes, because I actually feel, I don't know, now I'm speaking as an artist. I feel like there's a much bigger pressure now of, as an artist, being present online, making artist statements or artist talks. And sometimes I have the feeling I keep saying the same things. At some point you almost have the feeling that what you're saying, it's losing its value, because you said it so many times, on and on and on.
A kind of a deja vu over and over again.
Yeah, and I don't know, I also feel like, as much as I'm very comfortable with performing my online personas, my constructed personas, I get more and more anxious of being present as myself and speaking about myself. And I also feel a certain level of superficiality. I look also at the presence on the social medias and the way now artists are also promoting their self, but not only their work, but also themselves as a brand. I have the feeling that sometimes the information gets kind of lost. Like, I don't know, you would share something about your work, maybe I don't know, an article or an interview or something related to a show you're looking, and then this gets likes or it gets shared and so on. But I feel everything is done very superficially, like, just, okay, I checked that.
There is this ironic saying that if it hasn't been posted, it didn't happen. And I
Exactly.
think
Or
a lot
yeah,
of processes are working based on this idea now.
exactly. So it's basically, It's basically, if there's no online proof of it, it didn't happen, you are not validated. And also, if you at some point you get sick of doing this constant work of promoting yourself online, you also have to accept that there's a risk that you are overlooked.
Well,
And
you should in this case just make a post about you being sick of posting.
of course, so yeah, it's like we get to this vicious circle. I have to say that actually, since we started this residency, and since my first post where I was talking about a lot of these things, I was much, much less present on Instagram, which is my, let's say, main platform of expressing myself. And I even considered, because kind of, yeah, maybe once a year, I really cut off Instagram. I really feel like I need a break. It's really like you would take a holiday, like going on holiday and not working anymore. Even though I don't even like the content on my Instagram, it's also personal content. So I cannot even say that it's just work related content. But at least once a year, I do this really rough cut where it's not just removing Instagram from my phone, but I actually, you can put your account on hold for a while. So actually, when you do that, you are not, you cannot be found. Your account doesn't exist anymore for a while, which is to reduce even more the temptation of putting it back.
It's interesting that there is this option on Instagram, on Facebook, and other social media, which
Very good.
is probably a response to very acute needs of the users.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really like you would go to detox for a while.
But
Like
also a way to keep you in the network, because otherwise some would just decide, I'm going to delete my account. But
yeah,
now there's this
exactly,
diplomatic way of solving the issue,
exactly.
like a compromise between you and the social media, to put yourself on hold there.
Exactly. No, all, yeah, I'm really fascinated by all of these, I don't know, strategies, and yeah, and it's really relieving, like to actually be somewhere, to take a picture, and to know, and to not have this urge, or to post it afterwards, or to think, how would I post it, what would I write. I really wanted to do this again, and then I realized, wait, but I'm gonna have, I'm gonna show some work there and some other work there, and then there's this. So I actually kept it on just to be able to at least once a week, or to yeah, to show the stuff I do. So I was kind of, social media won this fight, because I had to stay present in order to promote my work.
But it's also really I think one of the issues is that social media is nowadays so much integrated in our work and in our professional practice. So so much is being shared, announced, and so much is happening online. And we are also partly replacing traditional studio visits with, just looking at an artist's page on Facebook or on Instagram to have a look at the new works, or just learn what they've been up to. We're also kind of in a closed circle here, because we cannot exclude that completely.
You really do have the feeling that if you're not there, you're kind of not part of the system anymore. And it's true that I think many times when I received, I don't know, some demands, commission, and so on, or anything related to my work, really often people contacted me through my Instagram account. It's more important than my website or anything else.
This is unusual, though. These used to be formal emails.
Yes, yeah, this used to be formal emails. And what I also wanted to say a bit earlier, with this pressure of being constantly present online, this is also one of the things that we are now connected to so many different platforms, that you almost have no more escape in terms of being found. You cannot hide anywhere.
Yeah, but the only option would be to go to a place with no coverage.
Yes, I think there are some places where there's actually like no 4, 5, 3G and no Wi-Fi. I think there are a couple of places like this in the world, maybe some Nordic country.
Oh, there are a lot of them in Russia. Actually, last
Oh,
year we
okay.
went to a long family holidays in Karelia, which is a northern region close to St. Petersburg.
Mhm.
And we went on holidays, and we found ourselves on a beautiful island. Uh, Everything was perfect except for the fact that there was no coverage, which was frustrating at first. But then we really learned to value that and to take advantage of that. And this, this complete digital detox, it's something very nice. So I remember myself having to climb on a small tree to send an SMS because this was basically the only spot on the whole beach where you could get a little signal, but really just to send a text message.
It's no coverage just because it's somehow because these spots that I was talking about, but I don't know, maybe there's a term for it, but I just don't remember it now. It's like it's on purpose that it's
Ah,
like
okay.
that. And it's also for
Hmm.
people, there are people who are actually have severe allergies or physical reactions to the network, to radiation from the 4, 3, 5G and so on. And so there are actually places like actual,
Safe spaces.
yeah, safe spaces, exactly.
One question I wanted to ask was about how do all these personalities that you mentioned and that you're showing on Instagram helping you to understand your original self? Do you think there is such a thing as an original self? And are they creating a particular distance from yourself? Or are they bringing you closer to your original image and to understanding yourself?
I think it's probably both, and I think it depends of the context. I think sometimes I do use these alter egos in order to escape my current reality, or maybe to avoid to be alone with myself, which is something that I became very good at. On the other hand, I think, like I mentioned earlier, I think it's also helping me to understand maybe what I'm made of. Like I think these personalities express, they do express some desires, aspirations that are part of me, and like I said, maybe in a way, just by posting them, putting them out there, they are somehow validated. So it's almost, of course, at a very a very low extent, as if I could live these other lives.
And also putting them out there means letting them go, and also letting go of the control you have over these images, because we know everything that goes online stays there and can be used in any possible way, so you don't
Yes.
really have control over that artwork, over that image anymore.
Yeah, definitely. I actually wanted to do an experiment, and maybe I will do it at some point, because I have this very accurate 3D scan of my face, of my head, which I wanted at some point to put out there as an open source, and to just be able somehow to track down, which would be actually impossible, but at least some of the ways it's being used. So if I like my image would be this separate object from myself, and anyone would be able to use it in any way. And I would find it interesting to actually see what would happen. I think there would be also a lot of very unpleasant situations where it would get.
It's really about giving other people, also people you don't know, complete control of
Exactly,
image.
exactly, exactly. It's like giving up control on your image, which actually does happen when you put yourself out there anyway. Because, yeah, just like you said before, it once is on the internet, it's you cannot really take it back. I mean, of course, all of these personalities, there are also ways for me to investigate or to deconstruct these mechanisms of how you do construct identity in the online environment. So it's also always an excuse for doing my art. So like, but I also really enjoy doing that. And yeah, I think it's also interesting because you always want to be in control of your image on the internet, but on the other hand, once it's out there, you actually don't have control over it anymore. That's also an exercise I used to do through two performances I did that were related to this Instagram account, Dear Lola Lane. The first time I was in a physical space, and during 4 or 5 hours I would transform into different characters, and then the people who would come in the space of the gallery, at the entrance they would be given the login information to my account, to the Dear Lola Lane account. So they would basically be able to get control over it. And then the idea was that they would stalk me in the space of the gallery. They could follow me around and take pictures or videos, and then they would post them on my account. So on one hand, I didn't really have control over how they perceive. I mean, of course, I would do certain actions and so on, but I wouldn't be able to see what they see on their phone, or they would have freedom of taking the picture from whatever angle, in whatever in between moment where I would also maybe eat a sandwich. That was an interesting exercise in terms of losing control over your most precious tool.
So who knows, maybe one day you will be scrolling through your newsfeed and on Instagram, and we'll find out that one of your alter egos did get an own profile. It did get an own life and universe.
Yes.
Maybe someone else realized this idea instead of you. Maybe a few words about what you're working on right now, to an extent that you are allowing yourself to share that.
I think at this point, I really allow myself to share it because it's actually a video for which I'm gonna probably do a final export today. So I'm it's actually a commissioned work for a show that's gonna be in Bucharest. I came across these thoughts of how we are actually, I mean, this is already very obvious that we do live in a self-obsessed society. We are a self-obsessed culture, and that on one hand we have the planet that's actually going down. I mean, the life on Earth is really going through an obvious crisis, and it's getting worse and worse. And in parallel, we are more and more preoccupied of be as beautiful as we can be, as active as we can be. There's this permanent, I don't know, preoccupation of staying young, like the anti-aging and beauty industry. They're just like, there's a lot of money being invested there. And another very interesting thing, it's the industry of immortality, which is also something that it's growing like crazy. And I actually read an article like in a few years from now, there's a budget of, I don't know, it was something huge, something like $600 billion that would be invested in the immortality and anti-aging industry. And I found that quite paradoxal in a way, because we are trying so hard to achieve this superhuman, post-human, transhuman status, while actually life on Earth is dying. At the same time, it maybe does make sense because, yeah, it's our desperate struggle or effort of surviving these natural disasters that are kind of imminent. And so I worked around these ideas, and it was also, the video was also somehow influenced about the images that were I saw on Instagram this summer when this wildfire started also in Europe, like in Greece and in Sardinia, and then there were these crazy photos with people at the beach taking selfie and smiling for their selfie, and then behind everything was burning, and yeah, it looked very surreal.
A very
Somehow.
strong statement, unwillingly, probably.
Yeah, and so this little video that I'm preparing is somehow, yeah, it's about all that.
Thank you for this wonderful talk. It was so interesting, and I encourage all of our viewers to visit Maria's Instagram account. Actually, it's not Maria's, it's Lola Lane's Instagram account. Then Maria's webpage, take a look at what she's been posting at Virtual Spa, and explore more of her works. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of all this.
Have a beautiful day on the beach.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I will get some sun now.
Bye.
Bye. Part of your hair, part of your eye color, part of your gender, part of your age, part of your voice, part of your neighborhood, part of being good at something but brilliant at nothing, part of your regular feelings, dreaming of being in different places at the same time, dreaming of
being different people at the same time,
dreaming of being in the spotlight, dreaming of having a secret life, tired of your stable, predictable career, or maybe tired of your heteronormative, monogamous relationship, dreaming of adventure, wondering how your life would look with children in it, dreaming of what you cannot have, dreaming of all the forbidden things, wondering what sky's the limit really means, bored of living the same life for life, bored of your unidirectional reality, dreaming of fame and endless confirmation.
we have just what you need. SolarNet creates and recreates life better than God itself while offering unlimited human and life design options. Due to the lack of physical boundaries, we can provide teleportation, time travel, body optimizations, extended brain use capacity, DNA adjustments, all assembled in a most visually appealing package. Our designs can have temporary or permanent duration, entertaining purposes as well as therapeutic ones. With us, your life can become your favorite movie scenario, or you can simply reinvent it from the scratch.
And by the way, I'm Lola.